episode of ManClub. Today a buddy came by from the forums and we're going to stick on this J-Power 3-arm camber kit. He's riding on Tien Basic and he's got a pretty bad camber in the back, kind of low. So we're going to hook these up so we can go get alignment and bring that back close to spec as possible. Without further ado, let's get going. Okay, for today's tool list, not too bad. We got a torque wrench and a little bit breaker bar. We got 12, 13, 14, 17, 19 box end open end. The 19 and the 13 are specifically for the aftermarket nuts. A ratchet, a little extension, a 12 for the line underneath, a 14 and a 17, and a couple of adjustable wrenches to tighten down the arm adjustment nuts when we're all installed. First we need to chock the front tires. Next we're going to jack it up from the rear center. We'll put a 2x4 here, give us a little extra height. Before we lift up the rear, we're going to go ahead and crack these lug nuts loose. We're going to do that and then pick it up from the back. We're going to position our jack stands right here in between these two markouts, and we'll set it back down. Here's a shot of what we'll be installing today. I'll lay it out. Okay, after we got the wheel off and everything in place, we're going to start back here with the rear camber arm. So there's a 14mm here, and then there's another one right back over here. Alright, so one thing to notice on this rear camber arm and a couple of the other ones, this OEM one has a built-in nut on the side that faces forward. So I just usually lie the bolt just like this, so you remember which orientation, because when you put in the aftermarket one you don't have this welded in place. It's just a nut, so if you don't pay attention you could put it in backwards. So both of these nuts, most everything just faces towards the front of the car. So what we need to do is extend the camber arm that came from the factory. It's going to be shrunk down all the way. You want to move it out to even the OEM size, and you want to move it equally on each side of these threads, so try to make it as centered as possible so they can adjust either way for alignment. Okay, so Kale did a good job here. Basically we just stick the nut through up here and then through here, and when you're all lined up then we'll just take these down and put it in. Just do them finger tight until you get it installed. So after you put the rear camber arm back on, you got to use your first of two nuts. It's going to go again on the front side. Next we switch over to a 17mm. We got this lower end bolt here, and we come around and there's a looks like a 14 right there, and there's a nut on the other side. So okay, then we'll tackle this upper one here. There's a 17mm bolt here, and there's another one right back here. We'll take both of those out and do the same thing, adjust them to the OEM length. When you pull this short guy out, just remember the orientation. The smaller hole is on the outside and the bigger hole is on the inside. So after you get everything on hand tight, we got this this line here that they provide these bolts. There's a nut to go right here because there's nothing welded on in place. So we'll just screw that in and get that tight, and then we'll tighten everything up and torque it down. Okay, so we got our line secured up here. Now we're just going to go through with the torque wrench and torque everything down. Everything, according to the documentation, is 43 foot-pounds, with one exception, and this is the control arm C right here, 42 instead of 43. So everything's 43, but this guy right here is 42, and that's a pretty marginal difference. After we get everything torqued up, we're going to grab two adjustable wrenches and tighten these guys down here, these adjustment nuts. They have them torque spec to 75, but I really don't see a way to get my torque wrench on there. If you have a open-end torque wrench, I guess you could do that, but we're just going to use the German torque specs of Good and Tight. Okay, so once you get everything tightened up, just give it a once over, make sure everything looks good. Put your wheel back on and drop it down, and then pretty quickly head to the alignment shop and get yourself a good alignment. Once we lowered it back down to the ground, we'll torque the lug nuts at 80 in a starred pattern. Well, this concludes another episode of ManClub. Today we just real quick install of the 3-arm rear suspension kit to help you become fully adjustable for alignments and whatnot. If you like to ride the low life, you probably need to do this or you'll be chewing through tires like nobody's business. We did go for a little test drive and found that something wasn't quite right, so we wound up actually doing a little body-o alignment and pulling the toe in just a little bit by eye. But I can't stress this enough. As soon as you get this done, hopefully you've been riding at the level or the height that you enjoy, and once you get that set and you get your kit put in, take it and get it aligned as soon as possible. If you're going to be messing with it a lot, probably go with one of the places that offers the lifetime alignment. That way if you start messing with it or going up or down or whatever, you just take it in and get it done. So that's what I suggest. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. And until next time, keep them hanging. It fucking went off early, dude. Yeah, that scared the crap out of me. Check out your brother too, man.